It's Craggy's Connacht Rugby podcast. I'm Rob Murphy, and the season is almost over. This is the beginning of our season wrap series of podcasts, having a little bit of fun as we record this the night before the awards night in Galway as the Connacht season winds down. We've got the Zebra game still to come, midweek podcast on that next week. But today we're going to be looking at some of the news that's broken in the last few days since our last podcast here on this feed. And we're going to be looking at the season in a bit more of a fuller way, having a bit of fun at the end. The Score the Argument game, where we're going to get the lads to pick their player of the season, try of the season, and some other things. So all that to look forward to, lots to get through. Let's get through everyone on the podcast, starting with the man we know as Packy. Niall Shiel, how are you?
I'm good. How are things?
Very good. Lovely Thursday evening here. Good weather on the way. And even though Connacht season's ended a little bit early, we're still enjoying the rugby that's on the big TV. Danny, Champions Cup was good fun to watch, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, it's a pity we didn't get to see Connacht there, but it's not bad watching the game and not doing any stats or work or anything. Just enjoying rugby.
Yeah, some drama in that Munster Toulouse game, anyways. Dave Finn, how are you?
Guten Abend, Robert. Yeah, it's good. I agree with Dan. I actually will be doing stats this weekend. I've been asked to cover the All French game, which so I've no skin in that game at all. So it's going to be good to watch. Found myself watching a lot of the Super 14 Pacifica games. So it's very good rugby being played down below. Yeah, it's been good. You're able to relax because you suddenly find yourself going, I don't have to analyse this game. This is fun.
And I think we're going to struggle, Dave, to analyse the Zebra game too on the last day of the season because it's going to be really just, yeah, it's going to be hard work. I think the fans are going to enjoy seeing send off and watching a bit of rugby, but at the same time, it's a strange one. 3 weeks on from losing to, from losing to the Sharks, they played this final game. All right, getting to the main news, Danny. Start with you. What a moment, Mac Hansen, 3 years. He had an extra year on his contract, but they've locked him in. Star of the season. I think he's going to be the standout player of the year, but we'll see that later. What great news, though.
It's massive. It's just being able to keep him in Connacht. Like, he's such a game changer for us. He just, every time he touches the ball, he could create some magic, and we need more players like that. And the fact that he's trusting Connacht, to keep his progress going is massive. He could easily, any of the other provinces would have taken him, because now he's an Irish international. You knew he was staying in Ireland, so it's great to see him that he's committing to Connacht.
Some talk back of his possibility of him moving to another province. I don't think we were too concerned by that, because we do find these players who come from overseas and settle in to the West, they're not really tempted by other options. Once they're getting international call-ups, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense either.
Yeah, well, it just goes to show what happens when you don't have any balance in your programs and you have people from certain areas. They push their own narratives for it. It's my major gripe with the national media when it comes to rugby in Ireland. There's nobody from Connacht on, and that's a major issue. Bar TG Carter. But there you go. But listen, it was said by one individual on one show. It's annoying, to be honest with you. It's annoying, and that's, I suppose, that's what they got their kicks and clicks from. So, but he was the only person that said it. I mean, yeah,
fair point. Actually, really fair point. I mean, I've heard it. I've heard it from some fans around the place as well, and maybe that's what made you jump on it. But like, as in, will you be able to keep him? Now, that was a legitimate question. When he hadn't got his Ireland cap, we were thinking that around Christmas. It's like, God, he's such a superstar. The French could snap him up. Once he got capped, we knew we had him.
Well, you kind of knew it before as well, though, didn't you? I mean, he was Irish qualified, so that was, one of the reasons, or one of the perks to signing him. Probably one of the bigger reasons, to be honest with you. So when they're looking for somebody, if they're Irish qualified, you have a better chance of signing them than if they're not. So you're going to look for Irish qualified players more than you're going to look for non-Irish qualified players. So I wasn't that worried about it, to be honest with you.
Okay, fair enough.
It didn't enter my head, like, it didn't really, to be honest with you. Even when the stuff was said, it was just annoying that, you know, I suppose the thing that annoyed me that there was nobody there to just call out these idiotic statements and said, you know, that's absolutely ridiculous. Why would you come up with such a absolute gobshitery like you did? Like, genuinely, that's what annoyed me more than anything, and I think probably annoys more people, that sort of stuff, and it gets parroted a bit then by somebody else, and never really challenged, like never saying, why would you come up with something like that? Can you please explain this to me? Can you please? I'd really like to understand your view behind this. Is it that you know? Though I think there was a viewpoint years ago of I remember it years ago. There was a viewpoint. Oh, Munster are great forwards and they needed some backs, and Leinster are great backs, and this guy should go there and that guy should go here. And it was kind of, you know, it doesn't really work that way, does it? So
there was an argument way back when Robbie Henshaw was set to go to Leinster, Dave, that, you know, put him alongside Johnny Sexton in that team and will help him develop. So there'll always be that kind of side of things, I guess, that help him develop alongside some of the international colleagues and so on and so forth.
Oh yeah, because he wasn't playing beside any internationals down here, and never would
I know,
have. Don't have any internationals.
It's called devil's advocate. I'm doing my best.
I'm going to both agree with Packy and disagree with him.
Ooh.
Because he's absolutely right in the fact there's absolutely no balance in this. There's no balance in the national media. You might occasionally see poor Swifty dragged on for tokenism, and usually when there's a match on, they'll never get a Ronan Loughney on an English language national podcast. The only person you're never going to get Swifty brought on for midweek shows. He's only brought on for matches. So that I absolutely agree with Niall there. It should have been called out on, but all it takes is one person to say it, and suddenly it becomes a whispering campaign. That would be something I'd be worried about there. I think we should still be worried about the fact there's going to be somebody we're going to mention a lot tonight who I would be very worried about. They will mention the same way they started with Robbie. Oh, he's from a Leinster county. He's from a Leinster county. It's good for his career for those very reasons that you just said about when Robbie moved up north. I also think there's a factor in this that we never take into account, which is David Nucifora. He quite happily will move the chess pieces around if it suits the national team, which that's a separate debate for a much different day. This is brilliant because max signing till 2025 shuts a lot of people up till 2025, and I'm quite happy about that. There will be other speculation with other players, no doubt, because we have a lot of players whose contracts coming up next year. But on this one, it'll make people happy. The downside will be there'll be a lot of kids with mullets, moustaches, and white scrum caps over the next few years. And there will be a lot of 10-year-olds in about 9 years' time called Mac. But beyond that, you can live with it. You can live with that, given what the fun that we're going to have over the next couple of years.
As long as the Oisin Dowling tattoo doesn't take off, I'll be happy. But just before we finish talking about this, you can build a team around players like this, right, Packy?
Oh yeah, you can.
Foundation stone.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I think we'll see him. He's such a danger on the wing, but I think we'll see him move into fullback possibly over the next season. I think he's got depending on his organisation, because he can be lethal on the counter, like he really can. Now maybe being on the wing gives him a bit more freedom because
that's what I was wondering. We were saying we were missing his freedom the last day, but is that something you just have to take a breath on while he learns fullback?
Well, he looks like he knows it fairly well. But I'd be just interested to see a bit more with him, and the Connacht's defensive structure for next season will tell a lot about that. You wouldn't want to curtail him in any way, shape, or form for what he can do with the ball. So if he turns into a more defensively minded fullback, I don't think it's a good thing.
Danny?
The other thing would be that with Mac at fullback, he would be a second playmaker. So can easily. I'd love to see that kind of balance as well, because I know Sexton mentioned he could play anywhere in the back line when he was in Ireland camp. So it'd be great to see. Imagine having Jack on one side of a ruck and Mac on the other. I'd hate to be in that defence.
Interesting. Dave, your thoughts of where Mac's going to be making the biggest impact for Connacht?
We're actually bizarrely strong in the back three now, where we wouldn't necessarily have thought that maybe 6 months ago. Because at the moment we have minimum four guys we know can play a fullback in obviously Tiernan, Mac, Johnny Porch, and Oran McNulty. We then have other wingers, obviously Mac and Porch can go on the wing, Tiernan can play on the wing, Dermot Kilgallen is there. Ralston played at 14 last weekend for the Western Force. I don't know if that's his position, but that's where he was last week. There's two, again, the only two sort of clouds to which we've got the silver lining are, one, he has to stay injury free, and B, as happens with all players who go into Ireland squads, is how many games will be made available for. That would be my two caveats. But as long as he's made available for games and they do what Anai wants them to do in terms of making players available, I don't think it really matters where Mac starts. He'll go looking for the ball. He's very like James Lowe that way. He'll have a number on his back and he'll nominally be there most of the time, but Mac will pop up wherever Mac will pop up, and that's the great thing about him.
Yeah. Anything else on that, Packy?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Actually, you made a great point there, Dave. We'll see what next season is going to bring with regard to player availability, because that was when the URC was formed, one of the things that was touted was that we are going to have to see, or that everybody's going to have to see the international players play more for their respective teams. Like before South Africa, I'm going to say that Bundy played. No, there was injury as well. He'd only played 3 times.
Somebody say
it might be that second Leinster game. No, it was said to me by somebody involved, and I hadn't realised it, but like
it's 4. Shocker. He played against Munster. He
6.
played against Leicester. Okay, we're going to get those 6 now. Munster.
How many of those are URC games?
Leicester. There's 4 before the South Africa trip, and there's a couple of more in there closer to the South Africa trip. Basically, the 2 Leinster games. So that's your 6. Spot on. Danny, I didn't doubt you. I just wanted to list them.
Sorry, no.
Never would doubt you.
Two URC games, Dave.
Two URC games. Like that's criminal. Like, in fairness, now Connacht, you can say Connacht don't pay his wages at the minute, but they're going to be paying Mac Hansen's wages by the sounds of things, because it doesn't look like it's a national deal. So the players,
a whole other podcast on that.
Yes,
you could. Yeah.
Like Hansen,
there's an awful lot to talk about in that.
Just for the numbers, Hansen's 14 out of 21. I have it, Danny. So far this season, but that's like he was fully available during the November internationals, which is the point, and then became Aki-esque after Christmas.
Exactly, and that you see. Listen, as Rod Danny said, that's a whole other podcast. But if the URC develops into the league that we want it to develop into, the what you call box office players are going to have to play more, and if they are going to have to play more, which I'd be all for, well then Mac is going to have to play for Connacht a lot more.
I'm sorry. I think Martin and I is world. This is what I felt during his thing. He has no concept of central contracts. I think when push comes to shove, Nucifora will have more of a say over who plays for Connacht than Martin and I will.
Okay, more news to get to before we start open the door and wrapping up the season. And it's the confirmed departing players and Connacht squad being confirmed for the new campaign. I guess without I'll list it and say anything to stand out, lads, because Alton Delan, Sammy Arnold, Abram Papali'i, TT Tuamaga, all going. Matt Healy as well, that was announced separately too. Owen Masterson, Peter Robb, gone as well, also leaving the club were Greg McGrath, Johnny Murphy, Ben O'Donnell, Dominic Robertson McCoy, and Peter Sullivan. Danny, what's jumping out at you there?
I could talk about all of them.
Yeah, I suppose you could.
I guess the one that really jumps out to me is Arnold. Arnold has been involved with every match day for Connacht apart from the South Africa tour this season, which has been pretty impressive. He's going to be a big loss next season.
Yeah, let's stay on that. Packy, yeah, big loss. Would you agree, Sammy?
Yeah, big loss. Don't know what to say on that, really. Just
Mr. Reliable. he's there. He's just there.
He stays fit. I'm unsure. I'm unsure about that one. I suppose for this season, they obviously think a lot of him because they kept playing him, even though it was announced that he was leaving. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I'm excited about what's coming up through the ranks locally, and I hope they start getting a bit more game time. On that, I feel there was a massively missed opportunity there throughout the year. No, solid player, hard, and had a good attitude, or so it seemed anyway.
Let me sum up some of the other ones, and because we only have so much time, we can come back to it. We've talked a lot about Papali, so I don't think we need to talk about that anymore. He's gone. TT Tumaga, I think he came and went so fast that even though there's definite talent there, I don't think we need to spend too much time on that either. Ben O'Donnell's unfortunate.
I disagree on that one. Sorry.
Yeah, talk to me.
Just we're looking for a tight head. We're letting one go. What are we doing?
Technically, we're letting 3 go.
Well, no, I mean, I know he was signed as a Lucy, but I was actually more impressed when he played in the tight, because he seemed to hold up our scrum, and we're now seem to be scraping around looking for another tight head when we had one sitting in our squad like that. Now, I don't think Greg McGrath was up to it. No disrespect, it's tough at the professional level, and maybe Dom didn't hit the right levels, but I thought TT was a perfect replacement there.
I think they're possibly looking for a different dynamic with who they're going to sign. That's the only reasoning I can make out of it. And he had the added bonus of being able to play loose as well. But I don't know. I get the feeling they had they have something or had something lined up. That they're looking to exploit. I think it'll come out in the wash what the story was there. The
reason why I was moving on is I just wanted to spend a few seconds on. No, you're right, Danny, because this was key. But at the same time, I was kind of.
Can I get in, Rob, briefly? I think the Johnny Murphy one is significant, not so much in an offensive. I think Johnny's a good guy, but he just he never started for Connacht until the last couple. So one game I think he started. But in terms of with Shane Delahunt being out injured for a long time, and Hef, back to this issue about how much game time will he get if he's in Ireland squads, is suddenly you're looking at Dylan Turney-Martin and probably Owen de Butler possibly being our starting and finishing hookers for some games at some point in the season. And I think with likely Delahunt to be back in 2022, you're looking at 2 very, very inexperienced hookers there.
Murphy hasn't started.
Wow.
Never got
I
that
didn't think it was that bad.
No, he never got a start. But Dylan Turney-Martin looked. I was impressed with his last couple of games. He impressed me in his last couple of cameos, especially against the Sharks. He was a big standout.
But Packy, we're still short at hooker.
Yeah, we are for a while, it seems. We'll see. We'll see on that one as well. I think Dylan, if he can get a bit of a run at it next season, which he obviously will now. You have to be saying he'd be, second choice at the beginning of the season. I don't think Della will be back that quick. I don't think he'll be back in time for the beginning of the season. If he does, fair play to him. It sounds like he had a bit of a horror injury. So, but like this, Dylan Turney-Martin's a Grand Slam winning under 20 hooker, and I actually don't think we're great for playing our own guys that well. We seem to have a distrust, and that's been down through the coaches, down through the years. And it's only when something gets foisted upon the coach that the player gets trusted. So, I would like to see him start. I would like to see him get more games. I'm sure there's reasons why, or they feel there was reasons why they didn't. But I do feel that, and as we go on talking about more, there's more players there that I think deserve to be spoken about.
I'm going through them all because I was going to what I was trying to build towards was O'Master and Alton Delan. I was just going to talk about 2 guys that had monster impacts on the province, leaving aside, but you guys correctly have honed in on the squad shape for next year and the effect some of these losses are going to have on the squad shape. Peter Sullivan as well come up through the ranks, and God, he had some like before we get to, let's finish on Masterton and Delan and just talk Peter Robb as well. We mentioned that sense, but I'll start with Peter Sullivan, Danny, because like his record's going to have a couple of really big tries. There's one Rainbow Cup winning score in Ulster comes to mind, but he's had a few big scores. It's a shame he has to go.
Yeah, it is a pity, but it's a professional game, and I think the guy that we're replacing him with is just that another step up with Adam Byrne. He has an international cap. If we can keep him fit and he can hit the heights that he was hitting in his first couple of seasons with Leinster, Jesus, there's a guy that you're going to be putting down first on a team sheet.
Brilliantly put. So well, Dave, let's let you start on Peter Robb, Owen Masterton, Ultan Dillane. Let's start with a quick one on Peter Robb. I mean, he's had a long career here, but probably had too many injuries.
Yeah, he couldn't stay fit. I mean, he's another one of those guys that we had a penchant for. Brave, tough as teak, maybe not the most skillful player in his position, but would never let the side down, but fragile, just made of glass. And ultimately you want regularity for the player himself, because I mean, if he's not playing regularly because of injury, other people get to take their chances, as we've seen. And you know, you want also to be reliable for a coach. A coach can know that if he picks you, there's a possibility you can play 4, 5, 6 games in a row. Peter, you never could. Lovely, nice guy, massive arms, ridiculously massive arms for a centre. Hope he does well. Whether he goes on to stay in rugby, whether he decides to move on to something else, wish him all the best.
All right, each of you get one chance to talk about Ultan Dillane and Owen Masterton, starting with you, Packy, on Owen Masterton.
Owen Masterton, I think, my opinion of Owen Masterton is that if everybody had his application, his attitude, and his willpower, if every player had that, no team, if everybody on your team had those things that he has, you would never have an issue. Right from the time he came into the academy, he was a leader. I think it's early to be saying this for him because he's he has a couple of years left in him, or he has a few years left in him, depending on how long he wants to play. But I think he's going to make an absolutely amazing coach. And I think eventually that's where he's going to find his niche in the game, because of what he was able to do for himself. He was a great line-out jumper. This is a fella that, he's worked really hard to get where he got to. He his father is Scottish. He went to Scotland, was on the Scottish under-20s, made the move himself, instigated everything, put himself there to move to Connacht. I know he joined us in Corinthians, and he was just top class from day one. Like, just a real leader, winner, great speaker, just somebody you could really build around him. Absolutely cruelly injured that time in Italy. Really robbed him of a yard of pace that's probably killed off his career with Connacht. But like a top class individual, this way I know him, I don't know him that well or anything, but just by seeing him interact, I remember him always been out there. Just was able to get in and get guys with him straight away. And I saw that at club level and in Connacht as well in the academy. Top class fella. Dave,
you start on Ultan Dillane then as we finish this segment of the podcast.
The first thing I ever thought about Ultan Dillane was, how does he get the dreads inside the scrum cap? And we're talking about injuries. He got a horrific injury before he really got started. And there are tales. Now, Packy has an amazing story about of what Ultan was doing when he was in the academy, and I'll let him tell those. What he has been through in terms of his rugby development, what he's been through in terms of his personal life. And he just is one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. There are certain players thinking, when they leave a club, do they leave with all their best wishes? Do they leave with bad taste in the mouth? With Owen and Ultan, you're talking about two guys who've battled back, worked incredibly hard in circumstances. Tralee is not a place that produces very many rugby players. The ones that come out of Kerry are incredibly tough, incredibly determined, and make them maximize the amount of their opportunity. And he's one of those guys. He's going to France. I wish him 2-3 years of the ultimate, and I wish him every success, because what he's been through in terms of his professional and his personal life and the loyalty he's shown Connacht, we should be making that man, he is welcome back here. And if he comes back next season to watch a game, we should be lauding him, because we don't win our title if we don't have the guys of Ultimate Delan.
Brilliant. 19 caps for Ireland, 126 appearances. Packy, want to hear that story and your final thoughts on this?
Well, yeah, the story goes, Ulton was, when he was in the academy, the part-time job working for, in a company in Galway, a fellow I know owns the company, but he was saying, so Ulton's major issue at the beginning was to put on the timber he needed to put on weight, you know, and he had, I'm sure it's all right to say it, he had this, basically a fruit bowl, and he used to fill it up with brioche rolls and milk or chocolate milk and wolf this down in between meals. And Roy was saying when he was looking at him, he'd feel ill looking at him, because he was just trying to inhale calories constantly just to get the weight up. When he came out to us in the minis to another time, and he didn't wear his Connacht thing, and we were all, it was none of us top. He didn't wear a Connacht top. He wore a Corinthians top that he had, because he was saying that, you know, that he was kind of letting the kids know that in a subtle kind of way, you know, that I'm with Corinthians too. It was just a moment where he thought of something that maybe the rest of us didn't think of. We didn't say, oh, will you put a club top on you, because that they'll associate you with us then. But he did it himself. Like, that's just the way he is. And but my on-pitch favourite moment of Ulton's isn't the time he careered up the pitch in Edinburgh, was the match. I don't know, do you remember a match in Brive where he didn't stop a maul single-handedly? Brive were careering forward, and he ran around and he actually sent it backwards. I don't know if you remember that. You can look it up. It's probably there on YouTube or on Twitter or something that somebody has. It was just my favourite moment on the pitch of him. But another top class fella, and yeah, absolutely, would love to see them back in any way, shape or form.
Brilliant stuff, lads. Well worth focusing on that. It's a great way to start our wrap of the season through the next series of podcasts over the next 3 to 4 weeks. But to finish this week's episode, I have the lads all prepped. We have a plan to open the door to Craggy Rugby and our contributors picking their players of the season, moments of the season. We just say we'll have a bit of fun with this. It's called Score the Argument. I'm going to be keeping track of who's making the key points. What the lads have to do is make the argument for, let's start with player of the season. And what they have to do is they'll have to do it in a draft format. If someone picks your player, you got to pick another player, and you got to make that argument with all gusto and with all belief in your heart, and they'll score the points, because let's be honest, there's probably one or two that are going to stand out. Each of them will have to pick two. So one, their standout player, the other is their dark horse maybe for winning the player of the season award. I've done a draw, and I can tell you this is the order of the draft, so to speak. Packy will pick first, Danny will pick second, Dave will pick third and fourth, and then Danny comes back at fifth, and Packy picks sixth. They each have to pick two players. We'll start with you, Packy. Your player of the season, make the case for him from number one on your draft choice. Go for it.
Mac Hansen. Just, you know, you don't come into a provincial squad from another country and end up playing for that country if you're not special, and he is special, evidenced by some super tries and how he's played for Ireland and the impact he's made, because it's not just an impact on the pitch, it's the impact off the pitch as well. Like, everybody's talking about him, all the kids in clubs, they all want to be Mac Hansen now, and he's a class player. Rui, you're dead right. My young fella's just said he's a class player. So
that's another point.
Yeah, I think so. But no, people just, you know, they get off. You get off if you're sitting down and he gets the ball. You get off your feet. Or get onto your feet. Brilliant.
Well argued. Good in time. You see my thumb coming up, lads, on the screen. Not you listeners, of course. To tell you
were like Caesar there with your thumb up.
I was like, time. I'll give you the thumbs up. Well done. Okay, Danny. Player of the season, make the case, and you can't pick number one choice from Packy.
Keane Prendergast. Has to be right. Keane Prendergast coming up. A guy that he only missed out on 3 match day scores. Just, that's phenomenal. Um, scored some good tries this season. Scored early on against the Lions and against Benetton there recently when we needed scores early. And he keeps going all through the matches from minute 1 to minute 80. He just keeps going, and it's impressive. He came down from Leinster and just put his foot forward straight into the certain teams.
Brilliant. That was very good, Danny. Very good. Dave, make the case for the first available player on your draft list there for being player of the season. Go.
I am going to go left field. I'm going to pick somebody that isn't named among the 5 nominees for the Players Player of the Year, the Sports Player of the Year. I'm going to go for a man who proves once again that when it comes to prop forwards, Connacht makes men who can play ridiculous amounts of games. I am going to go for the man who has escaped the hellhole that is Ballinrobe and go for Matthew Burke. Wow. Matty Burke comes into the squad because we all collectively as a province went, oh my God, Dennis Buckley's out for a long time. How are we going to cope in the scrum? We have barely struggled in the starting scrum, because Matthew Burke has stepped up, given his opportunities. One of those players, good, he's bided his time. He's waited because Dennis was indestructible for 2 seasons. But then Dennis goes down. Matt comes in, and does the scrum suffer? No. And he has been up against almost every single one of the tight heads that are phenomena in the Northern Hemisphere. He held his own. He's held the own against the likes of Tyke Furlong, against the Munster boys, and even against the beasts that come out of France. So Matty Burke, unsung hero, player of the year.
Oh, I mean, I actually missed the insult on Ballinrobe. I was so impressed with you picking a Ballinrobe, man. You know how to play this game. I'm biased as can be. That's going down well with me. Well played, Dave. This is not his first time. That
was strategic. Matty Burke wasn't on his list at all. He knew he had to pull something out of the fire.
Well, that worked.
To be fair, it's bleeding obvious who those two were going to go for. So right. So what's going to be let's go left field.
Round 2 is actually, you have to pick your dark horse for player of the year, because you have to go further down your list. And Dave, you get to at least go 4th here and first in this list. Go for it.
Dark, not really that much of a dark horse. Probably the most improved player, because I think if we're looking at players who, if you're looking at Keane Prendergast, we didn't know what Mac Hansen was going to be, so therefore what's he improved on. Keane Prendergast set such high standards last year with himself and the Eagles that he's actually, whilst he is amazing, he hasn't necessarily made a huge leap. The player I think has improved immensely over last season is Conor Oliver. There has been a back row that has been picked. Prendergast and Oliver are a team. We are much better with them. He is. I know that certain people think he gives away too many penalties. He still has that in them, but his improvement and the way he's jackled, the way he has fought this year, he has very much he has improved immeasurably. He is part of a unit. We have a back row unit. It is Prendergast, it is Butler, and the number 7, it is Conor Oliver.
Oh, you finished well. I was putting pressure on you there, time. That was good. Danny, who have you got there?
Finlay Bealham is my number 2.
Yeah, you're going to win with this. God, I like it. Go for it.
Just rocking our scrum. Unbelievable at tight head. Always missing the second. Either he went off injured or just didn't start. You knew Bealham wasn't there. He's superb around the pitch, and that shows in his defence. He's at 96% tackle success rate this season. And that's up there with Butler, which is huge for me. Your tight head prop. And he made 85 tackles this season. That's impressive.
My word. That argument was impressive. Packy, what have you left?
I'm going to go with Oisin Dowling. Because I don't have which I actually should have established some ground rules here and made Danny delete the files from his laptop. So anyway, and go off memory.
It's true.
Because you can see he's reading them out.
You've scored a point for Crossfire there. I like it.
If we take that blatant cheating out of the equation, no, I'm going to go for Oisin Dowling actually, because I've memories of a lineout not going well regularly in games, and he's come on and just steadied the ship straight away. I love the way he smashes a ruck. He's tackling. I don't know about his tackle success, but I do know that he's put in some seriously solid good shots on people. He's making, positive tackles as opposed to, and we don't have too many people that do that, but he's a guy that steps up in that regard. So Oisín Dowling for me.
Brilliant. Round one is over, and we have joint leaders, Packy and Danny, with a 2-point lead over Dave. I think you lost it on round. You were level pegging after the Matthew Burke pick, but I think all your eggs in that basket. That's what I'm saying. Anyways, all right, we've got to move on because we are actually up against the clock. Young player of the season and first in the draft is reverse draft this time. Dave, go for it. Young player of the season.
First of all, we're surprisingly not as many as you think. So there's an obvious winner, 23 and under, but we've already said him. So I'm going to go for the next one, which is Niall Murray. Niall Murray has been absolutely outstanding. He's young, he's powerful. He also sidesteps like a beautiful French centre, which you don't expect from a 6'7" man from South Roscommon. The try he scored in the Aviva against Ulster, which set us on our way, was absolutely outstanding. He will get better, and the scary thing is, there's another one of those Murrays they think is better.
Ooh, that's impressive. Danny, go for it. You can't mention Keane Prendergast because Dave has introduced that as a rule. It's a fair rule, so that's the way it is. Go for it.
Dylan Tooney-Martin for me. He didn't play too much, but I was very, very impressed with his last couple of cameos at the end of the season. He really stood out for me in the Sharks game, and I think we might have our hooker solution there.
Oh, I like it. Nice and concise too. You get an extra point for being concise. Packy, you're up.
Who's left?
That's genuinely frightening. There's only about two left.
Forward.
Call forward, Shane Bolton. They're the only two.
Oran McNulty.
Oran McNulty, yeah, and that's I know I was looking at Oran there. That's my pick. I think there's a good bit of quality there. Well, I'd like to see more of him. He scored a cracker of a try against the Ospreys, was it? I think there's more in him. Another guy that's Irish under 20. When you start backing these guys more, and giving them the opportunity. So I'll go for Oran McNulty.
Great point. You see, it's a hard one. How do you make a case for Oran McNulty being young player of the season? Very, very hard, but he's done a good job of it. So he gets the points there. Moving on, no time, lads.
One person we didn't mention, I think, is Shane Bolton. He's still under 23 as well.
Well, he just didn't make the list. Moving on.
Just saying.
Most exciting under 23 player we have is Matthew Devine, but he doesn't count because he didn't play for us this season.
Try of the season, first in the draft. First choice on this one is Danny.
My try of the season has to be Mac against the Bulls. That was some statement.
Should I not have been first there?
I've changed it. I'm like arbitrary.
I wasn't first.
Danny never got a chance to be first, so I was just being fair. Go for it.
Okay, so it's not Mac Hansen's try, and I would go for Mac Hansen's try versus Leinster, where he soared into the skies above Jordan Larmour and then give it the cracking alley-oop into the air. That's probably the only other try I can remember.
That's good enough for me. Get some points out of that one now. Okay. Dave, go first.
Firstly, Jordan Larmour should be in yellow carded for taking Mac out in the air. And try of the year, John Porch versus Ulster, the greatest, one of the greatest ever Connacht set-piece tries. Beautiful move. Hands from the base of his scrum. John Porch dives in the corner, throws the ball up in the air. One of the photographs of the year, probably by our friend of the pod, James Crombie.
Most exciting news signing. Packy, you go first. Go first.
Josh Murphy.
No, good call.
Yeah, 100%. He's the pick. He's the pick of the bunch. There's a couple of lads there on potential, but he's there in reality. I'm not sure about his how he is as a leader, but I hope to God he is. But yeah, big hitter, big man. Yeah, 4, 5, 6, good player.
Danny, go.
It's Hawkshaw for me. Just another 10. Put some pressure on Jack and to Fitzy. It'd be nice to have a backup and just a bit more competition at 10.
Dave, what's left? Who's your exciting signing?
I'm going to give you in theory, Shane Jennings, because he's coming. Is he counted as a signing because he's coming through the academy? Byron Ralston, because John Porch was a fantastic winger we signed from Australia. We then signed an even more fantastic winger from Australia called Matt Hansen, and therefore my logic is that the third one will be even better than the second one, and the second one is damn good.
Actually, I'll give you points for daft logic. Okay, we just have enough time to do the extra question that you weren't prepared for. But who, starting with Packy, is the next face on Mac Hansen's list of tattoos? Which Connacht player will Mac Hansen choose next? Packy, if he chooses, but we're presuming he will.
The next player. Okay, I think he's going to have to go with his fellow Canberrian. Is that how you pronounce it? Finlay Bealham.
Oh yeah, that's a good. Yeah, I like that. This could be make or break this whole competition. Danny,
with the what do you call the hairstyle he does?
The braids.
Cornrows.
Yeah, the cornrows. Yeah.
Thank you. That's much more up to date. Danny, go for it.
Packy, as you've robbed my answer, I'm going to say he's going to complete the second row partnership of Niall Murray and Ushing Dowling.
That could actually work. I like it. And Dave.
But Stella. It's Stella. It's 110% Della. I mean, no man is ever complete unless he is the face of an Offaly farmer on his arse.
All right, just enough time to tell you who's won and who hasn't, and in stunning fashion. I can't believe this actually happened, but in reverse order, coming third. Let me just make sure I've got this. I go just talk amongst yourselves there, lads. I don't want to make any mistakes here. 11, 15. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Dave, you've won it. You've come from behind to win it. Unbelievable. That Della Hunt one just on the show.
This is a farce.
Yeah, I'll give you full scores after it.
Yeah.
Christ Almighty, yeah, Ballinrobe.
The institutional bias we have from the Galway people, too right, we're going to stick together.
He was miles behind.
Well, at least you'll win something, lads.
I can't wait for Roscommon to win the Connacht final.
He literally, I'm not joining in that. He literally started by saying the hellhole that is Ballinrobe. So I'm not even sure how I've let him win, to be honest. I'm actually as disgusted as you are. Arguments were better.
I know you're saying you're proud of that. You're like people from Buffalo, Buffalo, New York. They all say that. That's secretly you love that, Murphy. You thrive on it.
I hope you enjoyed that, folks. We'll do that again. All right, that's it. Packy, thanks very much.
No bother. Take care.
Danny, always a pleasure.
Enjoyed that. That was good fun.
Dave, I'm going to make it my business never to let this happen again, but well done.
Don't worry, Rob. I trust you enough to never let me win anything involving you again.
That's it, folks. We'll talk to you soon.
Loose, cut it loose. Break out or nothing changes. Sad.